Welcome to the Money Made Human podcast. It celebrates at its heart the work of credit unions and their vital role in enriching our lives and communities. Brought to you by First Class Credit Union, each episode features insightful discussions revealing the meaningful impact that can be made through economic collaboration. Mostly, it's a collection of compassionate conversations about navigating life and the individual journeys we take. Welcome to Money Made Human, a podcast by First Class Credit Union. We are delighted today to be joined by founding member, former CEO of First Class, Andy Wright.
Thanks. No, thanks very much. Thanks for the invite.
Thanks for coming home.
That feels a bit like coming home. It's a bigger office. Some of the staff are still here, so yeah, it's good. It's a bit nerve-wracking as to what I'm going to be asked and quizzed about, and you know what I mean. But I won't give any secrets away, lads. Don't worry.
Well, do you know we're going to talk about you?
Oh,
that's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about you.
That should be over in a few minutes.
Not at all. How long have you been retired for, Andy?
2 years and a bit. Yes, 2 years and a bit.
Okay.
March 2022. So yeah.
Okay. And how are you enjoying it? Are you?
Yeah.
How have you found it?
Now I'm enjoying it. It was at the start, the first 6 months was a very testing time. I wasn't sure what I was meant to be. Do you know what I mean? Obviously I've been working, for over 50 years in my life. And then when you retire, you begin to think, well, what do I do now? What am I supposed to do? Who am I? Was a big thing that sort of hung over me. Because I used to go about, I'm involved with the credit union. I'm the manager or the CEO for the credit union. But who are you now? Who is Andy Wright?
Oh my goodness, I want to find out more about that. I want to find out who is Andy Wright. But I also want to talk to you about the credit union, what it was like to set it up, valuation you've just covered about retirement and what happens after you've been working for so long, and just find out a bit more about you, if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's.
So can we go back to the start? So you're from Glasgow, Andy?
Yes, born and bred in Glasgow. 25th of November 1955. I was born in.
That sounds like a big birthday this year, is it?
Yes, it's a big birthday this year. I don't know if anybody else has noticed, but I noticed it. I'm aware of it. Whether everybody round about me is aware of it, I'm not sure, but we will, fingers crossed. But yeah, so I was born in Springburn, 1955, like I say. Along with, at that time, there was 5 other siblings.
Wow.
In a room and kitchen.
Fun.
Yeah, absolutely fun. I had a ball. But no, can't remember much about it. And then before I was 3 or 4 years of age, we moved to Kirkcaldy's, a 2-room kitchen. And another sibling came along. So, yeah, it was a very large family.
So was that 7 kids in total? 6 kids in total?
At that point in time, that grew.
Mum and Dad?
Mum and Dad. Yeah, my father was, at that time when I was born, I think he was a furnaceman in the Cowlayers steel foundry, and then became a heat engineer. But my father was a big influence on me.
Was he?
Huge influence.
Like a hero?
An absolute hero. All through my life, we did have differences, as you do as a teenager, etc. But overall, the overarching feeling for my dad was one of, wow, what a man.
What was his name?
Alexander Wright, MBE.
What, MBE?
MBE. He has an MBE for his services to the community.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, amazing. What did he do to get that?
Well, huge amounts of things, but by the time we got involved, we moved to Easterhouse in the early 60s, but Easterhouse was just a new up and coming housing scheme. The the clearance of the slums in the Kirkcaldy area of Glasgow and other parts of Glasgow for that matter. And people moved into Easterhouse, and we moved into a 3-bedroom with an indoor bathroom, and my mother's pride and joy, a bath. That was
Pure luxury.
absolutely amazing. Me and my 3 younger brothers at that time could play football in the lobby, the hall. The hall was 18 feet long. It was quite amazing. But so we moved there, and my dad was involved in trade unionism, but in quite a small way, because he obviously had 9 kids and he didn't have a lot of time to do other things. So he was involved in trade unionism, at secretarial level, and went to meetings and came back. So he always spoke about politics and left-wing politics in general. And he'd be sitting in his knee, and he would be talking about the good guys, the bad guys, how this works, how this doesn't work. And one of the things that I've noticed all throughout my life, I have always had a great feeling for politics, and would bore people in the pub, bore my mates, would be saying, politics is everything. It's the loaf of bread you buy, it's the take-home pay, it's the housing conditions, and all that comes from my dad. And so my dad was a big influence, but he got involved in forming youth football teams, young football teams, where me and my brother had pestered him. We were running a football team, me, my brother, and this other fella who was 2 or 3 years older than us. He managed it, and me and Frankie picked the teams, and then eventually we were saying, this other guy's hopeless at a manager. He can't. It is so. Who can we get to manage your football club? And there was only one person that stood out there, and it was my dad. So we approached him and says, look, could you run our football team? And he was like, oh, give me peace, would you? So anyway, but it turned out, no, he did, and he ran that for 24 years. Lockbridge football, Lockbridge Boys Club football. And he turned it into a youth club. He formed Easterhouse Street League. He was partner in the Glasgow Area Union of Youth Clubs. And in his involvement in all of this, he also got involved in local politics, when politics and, residents associations, tenants association were all forming. So they became secretaries of tenants association, residents association. And that was it. He brought a whole raft of ideas and changes to Easterhouse community, whether it's be the community centre itself, Easterhouse street festivals, Easterhouse arts festivals.
And is that why you got the MBE for services to
Easterhouse, to the community?
Amazing. So those values and skills you've learned from your dad, were they pivotal in your career journey and starting the credit union?
Well, I used them because it was always, like I said, it was always in my head that people, working people, ordinary, working, common people can do things way beyond their expectations and way beyond what other people, professional people, or whatever you want, believed they could do. And so that was always a drive for me, was we can do this. Yeah, we could do this, we can do that. But having said that, I was also involved in other politics as well. At a very young age, 16 years of age, I was involved in rent strikes and things like that, within the community, again, obviously for my father. And my oldest sister was involved in Oxfam, so I'd done a lot of stuff for that, just charity events and collections and all that type of thing. So I believed in people. That was the big thing that my father gave me, believe in people.
Listen, it's perfect for this podcast because this is about humans.
Yeah, absolutely.
What about your parents and that large family living in Easterhouse? How did they manage financially?
Yeah.
Because what? I guess we all have a feeling, or we realise later in life, your parents did so much for you, and there must have been times they struggled, but it never felt like that.
Well,
or did it?
Yeah, it did. I mean, especially in at a younger age, up to I was probably, I don't know, 12 or 13, which also meant that my oldest two sisters were of employment age, so therefore they had left the house or were earning money and bringing an extra wage in. But up until that point, I would always think, we're poor. I would always
feel like that?
Yeah, I really did feel, yeah, we're poor. Why are we poor? My dad works all the hours God can send, and actually was also he was a photographer as well, so he also went out and done weddings and communions and public events and things like that. So I just kept thinking, why? What's wrong? And it resonated with the whole idea. Well, you come from that working class background that people, you are not supposed to, you are not allowed to get above your station to do. So it was a very tough, and I did feel it. I always remember with my friends, and because at that time Easter House was especially our street, it was a very mixed street. There was a whole load of different people, firemen, policemen at the bottom of the street. Stevie Chalmers, who played for Celtic and scored the winning goal at the European Cup final, stayed at the bottom of our street in the early years. So, yeah, a whole difference. But my friend's family got a colour television.
Oh my goodness.
And I was like, wow, that is unbelievable. That would be our wildest dream. That was a way out of our league. So, yeah.
But you know what, Andy? It doesn't feel poor in terms of experience or love for family.
Oh, no, absolutely not. That's the whole thing about that is, yeah, when you're young and you just see it as you feel it on a personal basis. But as you get older, you see how the world really is and how it works and the efforts that people have got to put in just to survive, to get by, to get through a week, a month, a day even in some cases. It's tough. It is. Life is not easy.
No.
Life is very, very, very tough.
No.
And in tons of the years, I'm now, this is my 70th year in this planet, and I had seen some horrendous, acts of, unkindness and absolute hypocrisy from politicians and from others, about how this is run, how government runs, how the workings of politics impacts the life of normal, ordinary people. And it's horrendous.
What happened with you? You've come from that really busy family life. At one point, you must have started working for Royal Mail.
Yeah, I started. Well, that was I had a few other jobs before that, and again, it's politics that impacts and where you go and what you can do. I went to Springburn College of Engineering. I was an apprentice turner fitter that first year, and we're going back to 1972, 73, and 4-day weeks had started, things like that, and so big companies were laying off apprentices, no taking apprentices on, laying off workers. So all of a sudden, after my first year in apprenticeship, there was no more. I couldn't continue. So I had then to think, right, okay, what do I do? And I had one or two other jobs. Plessy, I worked with Plessy telecommunications, doing different things, but mostly in Plessy it was about telephone exchange and building telephone exchanges. So I was a power fitter, an apprentice power fitter with them for a period of time, and again, it was under the auspice of the GPO at the time.
Sure.
Where they get contracts, the GPO, to build telephone exchanges in all these up-and-coming areas. And then the GPO was obviously going through radical changes because of the time of the year, the time of the finances, and they decided they would go alone. And so therefore they tried to do the work themselves, really contracting out to Plessy, Ericsson's, companies like that. So again, I was on the end of these government and big corporations cutbacks. So I found myself back on the scrap heap. So the Royal Mail came along, and I thought, well, I'll do this for a few months and see what happens.
And what a journey that was.
That was, yeah. Honestly, I mean, and I think in the class that we joined, they used to take you in classes in the Royal Mail for the first 2 weeks. You would be there along with 18 other people or something like that. And I think me and almost everybody that was there was, either an apprentice electrician, an apprentice joiner, an apprentice plasterer or whatever. And we're all saying, we're just here for 5 days, just till it picks up again. And we would leave because it was just, but 29 years I stayed within that auspice of Royal Mail, but the last thing has been with the credit union. So
tell me about that. How did the credit union come to exist?
By chatting, by people saying, again, so we're looking at 1990, 91, probably 1990 when the word credit union entered the tea room or the canteen or whatever it is we were sitting.
Yep.
And I remember talking to one of the other founders, was a guy called Frank Coggle. And Frank says to me, talking about, how tough it was to live, how much the bank, because interest rates in 1991, were 12% or something. Bank interest rates were skyrocketing. Mortgages were skyrocketing. It was tough, no matter how much money it just seemed to go. Credit, thinking about credit and was an almost impossibility. Banks would not entertain, the average Joe, working class people to walk in and go, I'd just like to borrow a few £100 and, just for a few months just to get myself back up. No, the credit card was the only thing they would offer you. And again, that's even more expensive. So, but just things like how tough it was to survive. And then Frank mentioned that I think he'd been over in Ireland and he had mentioned, credit unions. Andy, why don't we think about a credit union? And right, okay, what is that? Thanks. So through this. And then he probably pestered me because I was going, I don't know anything about credit unions. But anyway, so he pestered me and then I says, right, okay, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll have a talk with the union, see what the union feel about it, because I was very much a union person or involved, and my beliefs were all about the union. So I thought, right, I'll go and talk to the union. And I spoke to the local branch or the local secretary, and he went, well, sounds all right, Andy, but I don't, let me put it. So he moved up the chain, up the ladder, and I went to headquarters. And headquarters came back with a definitive no.
Okay.
Absolutely not. Do not, we will not get involved in credit unions. We are not. I was, right, okay, what's all that about? But not that I found the answer within a few weeks, but maybe a few months later I realised, I know why, because they were putting their name to a credit card, to Barclays credit card, which would have, at that time, it was the UCW, Union Communication Workers, not CWU as now. So they weren't wanting to put any thought.
A conflict.
But they just felt, no, we're going to, this is how we're going to. So that sort of died for a few months, and then it came back into the discussion again. That card never wasn't going anywhere, wasn't doing anything, as credit cards don't. You all know about credit cards. So the discussion came about again, and then we decided, let's look at this further then. And then there was about 20 or so of us says, right, we really need to look at this. And the aforementioned Frank Coggle's sister-in-law was involved in Yoker Credit Union. Okay. So they had started up, so he came back, gave us some information. Okay, we went to speak with one or two people from Yoker Credit Union, and we just says, look, we can do this. This is a doable thing. So we got decided. The 22 sat right. Okay, how do we go about it? So they put us in touch with Strathclyde Development Agency, part of at that time Strathclyde Region, and there was a credit union development officer. They put us in touch with a training body. So we says, right, okay, we know the path we go. How do we get there? So we went back to Royal Mail, and at that time Royal Mail postmaster, Glasgow postmaster, who'd on the wages for the Glasgow Western Scotland there. So we spoke to them and he says, that sounds a good idea. And he says, right, if you get this off the ground, we will supply you and help you. So that was it. And yeah, they gave us eventually we went through the training program, and I think, I don't know, 20 weeks or something, like 18 weeks. We went through the training, the 20 of us, about how it works, what its purpose is, how you're regulated, what's the law regarding you, what's the Credit Union Act, which was me. That's what I loved, the act. It's politics. So I was in my element, getting to understand the politics of it, and it just grew. And then all of a sudden, he says, right, okay, back to the royalty postmaster, a man called Tom Melvin at the time, and Tom, we can do this, okay? I'll give you a check, a loan of 6. He says, but what happens? Does he work? So how do we pay you back? He went, well, I'll give you a loan, and if it works, pay me back. If it doesn't work, I'll deal with that.
Okay.
And that was it. So
they were willing to back you?
They were willing to back us, not with any sort of support as such, no man support. Sure. We had to deal with this on our own. We had to. So that's what we done, and we sent out leaflets, flyers. At that time, everybody was weekly paid, so we'd get stuff put into their wage packets about information, about membership forms. And I think the first week of it coming, I think we had something like 328 people saying, amazing, I want to join, I want to be involved. And so that
must have been such a good feeling to see people respond.
It was absolutely amazing. And it was overwhelming because we thought, wow, we need to do this now. We have now people saying, we are struggling. We work like most workers. We work, but we don't seem to get in. We want to be able to control a bit more of our finances. We want to be able to understand finances. We want to be able to save for rainy days or and we want to be able to get access to money, our money.
And to borrow,
to get access to money, to borrow the money, our money, your money, ours, nobody else's. That's the big thing. It was ours. It was our. We controlled it. You would have democracy over your own money.
And at the time, it wasn't called First Class Credit Union.
No.
What was it called then?
It was the Glasgow Postal Workers Credit Union.
Amazing.
Because it was
born in Glasgow.
Mm-hmm. Because at that time it was only postal workers who we were thinking about, and we needed to grow. You know that old saying, from small acorns, large trees.
Absolutely. And that'd be what, 33 years ago now? 33-ish?
33. 1991 we sort of formed the bond of 22 people. We got the training, and by the end of 91 we had passed the training. We had to get it was called the Registrar of Friendly Societies. It was under the Cooperative Act. So they had to come and they tested us, judged us to see if we were capable of running a credit union with other people's money. And that was the big thing. This wasn't our money. This was other people's money who trusted you to look after it, to run it, to deal with it, to grow it. So that's when it became, wow, this is important. We need to get this right. We're not playing at this now. And that's when, I suppose, one or two people who in that 20 went, I think I'll just leave now and let you guys go on.
This is serious
now. This is getting serious.
Yeah.
People are coming from Edinburgh to quiz us, to look at us, to say, are you trustworthy, capable? Are you? So, yeah, it was a huge achievement for us. Why
are credit unions important?
Credit unions are hugely important for various things, but the biggest reason why they're so important is it's about empowerment of the individuals, the members. It's about them understanding money. It's about them knowing that they can control money. They can look after money, and big sums of money. I'm not talking about £100. I mean, this is I don't know the actual value of it now, but yeah, it's a £20 million business. So and it's controlled by individuals. Working class people and ordinary people can control huge estates, huge businesses, huge. It needs working class people and working class minds to run politics, to run businesses, to get the understanding that's the driving force. It isn't business allowed. Yeah, when they're allowed to do it.
Yeah,
it's a driving force, and it's a cooperative. It's about that mutuality. It's about the understanding that with one another, you can do things, you can move things.
No, absolutely. And that legacy that you started, Andy, it's very much alive today.
Yep.
We really want to talk to our members about money made human, because we want to see them as humans. We want them to know that we're there for them. So I hope some of that ethos you originally started has still remained today. But how did the credit union get bigger as it transcended through the early 2000s? Because we became a national organisation.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, I suppose there was one or two other credit unions at the time that had formed probably just before us, 2 years before us. And in my influence, the biggest one was Glasgow Employees Credit Union, which was made up from employees within the Glasgow Council. Because one of the reasons why that was so important for them was this was councillors who were controlling the politics of Glasgow. They understood that this was something to be happening. So there was also not only a voice within the worker. We had politicians who now got the message that this is something that could happen and grow, and that cooperative and mutuality movement could embrace a much bigger audience, and this bigger audience became the Glasgow Credit Union, which today is the biggest in the United Kingdom. But it originates from that. That's the beginning of that, and that's where I integrated. And so there was a manager there at the time called June Nightingale, who, for some reason, took me under her wing and mentored. I was never a bookkeeper. I was never in any way associated with figures and whatever. What I did have was, I believe I had a people skill. I had an understanding. I had a belief. I had a drive.
That passion from your dad?
Passion from my dad that just kept me going to build this. But she taught me, a lot more about the finances, the running of businesses. Mm-hmm. And in between that time, I also went to the College of Commerce at night and done a business and economics law. So I've done that, and so I gathered this again. It was the politics. It's driving. That was my drive. Was the politics within it. And ABCO at that point in time was very much, which is the Association of British Credit Unions, very much the biggest body, the only body of credit unions throughout Europe. So we got involved with them.
And they helped to guide.
And they helped the guidance and the movement. You've seen other places that were growing and getting, bigger. And through that, you got to meet other people like John Hume. John Hume was a huge credit figure in Ireland.
Yep.
Formed the first credit union in Derry in 1960. And it became a politician, and
he became involved with the peace process.
Became involved in the peace process, and later years. So you're looking at figures that were big, huge. So with the ABCO, they began to form this outside the credit union movement. They began to form political thoughts and political get-together. So we started up a working group of MPs in Westminster. John Hume was very much involved in the beginning of that, although he was more SDLP than Labour or Conservative. But we also had Lord Kennedy, of Suddock, who a great influencer.
Sure.
And politicians got together. So that
just grew and grew.
That just grew and grew. So therefore we grew with it. our ambitions grew, our thoughts grew. And then one of the driving things behind it all was about, well, if we've got this in Glasgow, why have we not got one? Why is there not one in Liverpool? Why have we not got one in Manchester, London? But so that was it. So that was it. And then it just, when we were talking about that at that point in time, the governance or the regulatory body was getting changed as politics was changing it. They then became under the auspice of the Financial Services Authority, the forerunner to the Financial Conduct Authority, the PRA, and the man leading it, I can't remember his name at this point in time, but I went to a training exercise with him in Edinburgh, a week-long training course in Edinburgh at Heriot-Watt University, and he just says to me, Andy, why don't you just become the credit union for Royal Mail for the UK? And I went, because the law doesn't allow it. You won't allow it. He went, try me. And he was the regulator. And I went, okay, let's try it then. So 5 or 6 months later, we tried it, and we were the first ever to have a UK common bond.
We became a national organisation.
We were the first in the UK to become a national common bond, which is the governing of how you're set up. You can either be a working
community,
a community, that type. So a community being an area like London or Glasgow credit union, or we became Royal Mail UK. Apart from, and it's funny you mentioned the Good Friday Agreement, because we couldn't go into Northern Ireland because under the Financial Services Marketing Bill, which was the bill that brought the FSA to its fore, it got dropped in Ireland because they had they had to get the Good Friday Agreement, and they couldn't get enough bills, white papers through Parliament, so they had to drop that, and that was the one. So we couldn't get Northern Ireland, but I persisted quite a bit, and within 2 years we managed to get Northern Ireland.
And then latterly we were able to induct one of the other trade unions, which allowed us to serve the civil service as well as part of that.
Yes, so when we became the first to cover all of Royal Mail, when the common bond that we mentioned, we had an idea that instead of just putting Royal Mail employees, we would put anyone associated with the Communication Workers Union.
Sure.
And that's the trigger that allowed us then to go back and say, we can now take in BT, and at that time I think it was Virgin, was the other one, the other big one, Openreach, that time. So that then just threw us into a different position from Royal Mail.
And allowed all of CWU members.
All CWU members, etc. So that was the start of that relationship with CWU, which I had previously had talks with them, with the General Secretary at the time and the Assistant General Secretary at the time, to try and introduce us and get us involved in, and it worked that way. The PCS thing was, they already were a credit union for PCS members, but they were stagnating, and they were putting it out there to say, look, we need assistance, we need help. We had offered help, and then when we looked at it, I realised it's not help they need, it's an absolute takeover. So they were in agreement with it, and we concluded, and actually we brought them into their common bond. So we changed our common bond again to take in PCS. But it had always been, probably about 3 or 4 years prior to this, it had always been, that was always my thought, was we need a credit union for all trade unions.
Yeah.
In other words, for all workers to endorse that whole thing. And that was always my thought, was to keep this going.
And we've done a little bit of that. We've inducted recently Unite and Unison workers So that takes in, we've now got 4 large trade unions, and we work with the footballing trade union in Scotland, PFA Scotland. So I guess it's just more bricks in the wall of that started.
It's building that.
Uh-huh.
It's still, it's you know, it's a house. It's a house. You still doing it, still building.
Still building.
Yeah, you've got a couple of floors on it now, but you eventually will become this way, one house.
What would you say to anyone listening to this that's not a member of a credit union, and why should they join? Why should they choose us if they're a part of all of those trade unions? Why should they come and join us, choose us?
Well, first and foremost, the history of First Class Credit Union is one of the membership has an absolute say, an absolute understanding, an absolute ability to get their voice heard, to get their message through to those who are now sitting in positions of directorship. And it's open to anyone. The membership is open to anyone to become directors. As a membership-led organisation, it is a very well-run organisation, and there is, to have your finances in a credit union, it empowers you, it lets you understand, it gives you the understanding of what money really is, as opposed to banks, building societies that have the place in industry and had the place in communities.
Sure.
But as we all know, they're diminishing, and with technology ever increasing, there's always huge threats from outside. But there's also threats within the banking industries, etc. Credit unions are not industries.
No.
They are cooperatives. They are run for you. They are about you. Where you want to lead, they will follow. And that's the whole thing. It's about understanding that you can control the pace, where it's going, and you own it.
Mm-hmm. And don't you think at the moment the world needs credit unions and a culture of people helping people?
Yeah.
More than ever.
More than ever, absolutely more than ever. And well, as everybody knows, as they look at the news and they watch, read papers or even on social media, it is becoming a very toxic place out there. And so you need to be around people who have your beliefs, thoughts, ideology, commitment as to what you need from your community, society, nation, call it what you want, but you need to be feeling that you are involved, and there is no better way than being involved, helping others get on that ladder, helping others, as you progress through your life, as I have progressed through my life, I am far better off now than I was as an 18-year-old or a 17-year-old.
Or that wee boy.
Or still that wee boy in Easter House who couldn't, who couldn't see the High Chaparral in colour. So, so it's about that whole thing about anything. And as you know, I'm still a member of credit, and I will always be a member of credit, First Class Credit Union, because the money that I now have, and obviously I have been a CEO, so I've been reasonably well paid. I'm not saying I'm loaded with money, but I've got some money, but that is now helping the other 18-year-old who's just come through the door, the other 19-year-old who's struggling, who's trying to find, has their first step in the ladder. And that's what it's all about. It's about that money circling round, helping others, to give them an understanding of people do care.
We do.
It's finding that care. And
yeah.
Credit unions are all about the care and the welcoming of people.
Oh, absolutely. So I want to talk to you about something you said at the start. Who is Andy Wright in retirement and finding your feet when you stop working? Tell me about that. What's that journey been like? Well, let me ask you this. some people might find it unusual that the former CEO and the current CEO are sitting talking about the same organisation. You know, you handed the baton to me.
Yeah.
But actually, as you've been talking, I found it really moving to hear the journey. But I think for our members, it's great for them to see us together.
Yeah.
Because the journey continues. It's not about you or I, it's about them and their credit union. But I just wonder, what was it like to hand the baton over? Was that tricky? We can be just be
If I'm
truthful.
honest, yeah, I wouldn't say it wasn't tricky, if I'm being absolutely honest, because I suppose, and as you as well know, it was, members of the staff knew it was it was the pandemic, and I'm not the most IT-minded person in the world, or you know what I mean, and I just running running the credit union from home was complicated. And at that time, I was 67, 68 years of age. Yeah, should have. But that's not true, is it? So I was 66 years of age. 66. So I knew there was a time I couldn't take this. There's a point in everybody's history journey where they get and they say, I think I've reached my summit. It wasn't the credit union summit by any stretch of the imagination. So we needed somebody to come in who had the ability to take, to first of all, to endorse the credit union as a cooperative business, its ethos, understand where it was going, the journey it was on. Maybe they didn't understand at the time how hard it would be, but they knew that journey.
Thanks for telling me.
That journey had to continue. So I knew that I couldn't take it much. So we needed someone to take that over. And unfortunately, that person knocked us back, and then they ended up with... That's a joke. That's an absolute joke. No, you were the right person at that point in time to come along and just... And you have done a remarkable job.
I think you've done a remarkable job.
Today?
But no, the legacy. I'm really proud of you. And thank you on behalf of all of us. That's not the end of the interview, because I want to get back to who is Andy Wright, but I think you've done a remarkable job. But who is Andy Wright in retirement? What have you found out about yourself?
He was a grumpy old.
Family?
Yeah, absolutely. I have 2 grandchildren now. I didn't have 2 when I started on this. One's 10 and 5. So therefore, I have...
They're big apples in your eye, aren't they?
They are huge.
Is that the world?
That is my... It's obviously it's not my wife's, my world, but these two make it spite. Mm-hmm. And that is something that, you know, and I'll go back to how tough it was when we sat around the tables and the tea rooms about, because we did the 40, at that time, 43 hours a week was what you'd done as a, but you also done 30 hours overtime and 35. So fathers can back to, and mothers, because obviously and can back to look at their children at that 5 and 10, didn't have the time. I mean, yeah, they would love to do it. They would love to, but they were exhausted. Mm-hmm. These people were exhausted of the amount of work that they had to do. So it was difficult, and on reflection, thinking back to, you know, Sophie being 5 and 7 and 8, and it was...
Well, that's your stepdaughter?
That's my stepdaughter. And it was difficult, really, because you were trying to work and bring in more money and work at weekends, and so there wasn't a lot to... But this, having grandkids at this age was just mind-blowing. It was wonderful. It kept me, and I'm going to say it kept me young. It kept me thinking, wow, this is, it was amazing. But also that's not every day. Now they're growing up, they've went to school and all that, and I'm a big part of their life, and I would hope to be a big part for, years to come.
Yep.
But I realised,
What do they call you, Andy?
Papa.
Papa. Right.
Or Dafty, but more Papa. But also I realised that waking up in the morning, because I was still at that, the first 6 months, I was still waking up at 6:30, 6:45, and saying,
what were you doing?
Well, I do now. I'll go and brush my teeth, and then I'll go into my shower, and then I'll sit down. So it was about that. But so I got a dog, and I thought, that's going to take me out. And that's exactly what happened. And every day since the first day I've had her, I go for an hour and a half, or an hour and a quarter's walk with my dog at the park, through Pollock Park. And it's wonderful. You see the seasons, and you get to understand who you are. I'm just an ordinary Joe who I like people. I like people to get on. I fear for the world sometimes, but I am not a bad fella. It's difficult to I am just an ordinary guy. I like the same things. I go to the football, I take the dog. I have an allotment now. I've got a passion for allotment I didn't know I had, I probably grow the biggest courgettes in the south side of Glasgow, but that keeps me busy. And
what about happiness? Is that something you've found in retirement, happiness?
Good. I found happiness. And thinking back on, the journey that I've been on, it could have went in a totally different route, a totally different road, whatever it is, where, you know what I mean? And you just think, wow, how did that come about? Why me? That type of thing. It's just about how circumstances grabbed them.
What would your dad say about your journey and becoming a CEO of a credit union, and what would he say?
The actual word CEO, didn't like, because it took me a long time to actually.
Was he around when you were doing the?
Yes, yeah. Oh, he was. Yes, he was very proud. He was very, because he was involved in Ridley and Cantine Credit Union. He got involved later, not in any real capacity as director or anything, but he just got involved in some of the meetings of his and helped him get funding, etc. So he understood where it was. So he was really proud, and obviously, if I think back, some of the greatest moments that I've had was all about, if I'm being absolutely, it was about being in Westminster, being in the Edinburgh Parliament, you know what I mean, and getting to talk to people and saying to them, this is what you need to think about, this is what needs to be done. Get off your high horse and start thinking about how tough this is and how tough it is for people. Whether it's about the money lending crisis, whether it's about, finance for people, individuals, the working poor, whatever it was, that you were talking to people. And, the Working Party in Westminster was an amazing bus, an absolute amazing bus.
And your dad, he would have been proud. He would have been involved in all of these.
He would have been so proud. Felt like Ferguson. Yeah, so proud. But he would have been chuffed. But I always remember my mum said to me one time, I was going to a meeting. I met him in the town for something to eat and a drink, and I was catching the train to Birmingham, and my mum just says to me, what are you doing with that briefcase? Just put him under your shirt, just walk. You don't need a briefcase. It was she just brought
So Glasgow.
She just brought me right down here.
My PCs are in it.
So it was a great journey, and an amazing journey. I would love to be able to do it again, but time takes its toll on everyone, and so there's a point in time that I'm saying this for everybody. who's listening or whatever, don't wait. Get involved. Do it. Now is the time. Now is your time. Or make it your time. You may not think it right now, but as you get involved, you will begin to understand, do you know what? This is possible.
Yeah.
Everything's possible.
Love it. So I've got some final questions for you. We've got numbers 1 to 7. The team have written down some questions at random, but I don't know what's on them, so I'm really hoping there's no football questions on here. So 1 to 7, what do you want to go for?
Oh, number 7, me, Jinky.
Number 7. Right, let's hope it's a good one. Oh, what inspired you to start the credit union?
I don't want to go over old ground, but yeah, what inspired me was about the hoping and believing that ordinary people could control parts of their life that looked as if they couldn't control, or were told it's not their domain, other people done that for you. That was the biggest thing, and about bringing group of people together to say, we can do this, we can run this.
I think you really just wanted to serve people and be of service to your community as well.
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah, I'm a great believer in communities, and that's what this world's about. It's about serving people and helping people.
For sure. Let's do one more. 1 to 6 we've got left.
5.
Is that for a footballer? No.
No, it's just saying it was his birthday.
Oh, nice.
It's 5. She's 5.
That's your granddaughter.
Uh-huh.
Love this one. What is the one piece of advice you'd give to your younger self?
Well, be more confident. Don't worry about the ifs, the buts, the maybes. Go for it. Your gut feeling will get you through it. Gut feelings are usually very, very good. I suffered for a period of time, when I became the manager at that point in time, when I started mixing with other managers of credit unions who were accountants, lawyers, and mid banking managers, and I thought, God, they're going to find me out. So I suffered from imposter syndrome. Do you know what I mean? And it took a long time for me to overcome that. And I'm saying a couple of years. Until one time Abco done this thing about matched credit unions against, just to look at how the business ran. We're not talking about the actual overall wealth of any credit, but how the business, in other words, for every pound your member was putting in, who get the most value out of it? Mm-hmm. And who's came on top? And I went, what am I worried about? Here we go. Politicians, these are these lawyers, bankers, accountants. We're better than any of them. So, go with it. That's what I would tell us. Do not believe in yourself. Believe in what you believe in.
Mm-hmm. No, for sure. Andy, it's been such a pleasure to talk to you today. And we're all very grateful for the work you've done to build this legacy, to help us build First Class Credit Union, and we're still growing and building. And I guess just want to wish you and Anna and all your family all the best for your continued retirement days. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. And I wish every success to First Class Credit Union, as I would, but also to the individuals within First Class Credit Union, you know what I mean, the staff, the directors. Go for it. Keep putting everything into it. Put your heart and soul into it, because you will get so much back.
No, for sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for listening to the Money Made Human podcast. We're grateful to spend time with you and hope you enjoyed it. If you want to join a credit union, choose us. With love, until the next time, First Class Credit Union.